All the engines were very excited. They chuffed cheerfully and chattered as they clattered along the tracks. Today was Sir Topham Hatt's birthday, and there was to be the grandest birthday party on Sodor. Thomas had a very special. He was to pick up Sir Topham Hatt and Lady Hat for the party. As Thomas approached Maithwaite Station, he gasped. Ahead, he could see Sir Topham Hatt already on the platform.
Cinders and ashes, I must be late.
Thomas pulled into the station. He was worried.
I'm sorry, sir. I thought I was early.
Sir Topham Hatt turned around. Thomas gasped. Sir Topham Hatt had a mustache. Thomas was so surprised he nearly popped a piston.
Thomas, my good friend, you're looking perfectly polished today.
Thank you, sir.
Sir Topham Hatt chuckled so loudly his top hat wobbled. Thomas was puzzled. Sir Topham Hatt never chuckled so loudly that his top hat wobbled, and Sir Topham Hatt never called Thomas his good friend.
I know, Thomas. Let's go to the Whispering Woods. It's one of my favorite spots. We have plenty of time before the party. All aboard!
Now Thomas was even more puzzled. He wanted to ask about Sir Topham Hatt's new mustache and why he was acting so strangely. But Thomas didn't want to look silly, so he decided not to ask. Thomas pulled away from Maithwaite Station and chuffed towards the Whispering Woods. Thomas puffed up to the Whispering Woods. Edward was there. Edward had brought children to visit the woods. Then he was to take them to the party.
Hello, Edward.
Hello, Thomas. You look worried.
Thomas was worried, but before he could explain, Sir Topham Hatt climbed down.
Marvelous! What fun!
Please, sir, we can't stay long. The children mustn't be late for the party.
Oh, party smarty, Thomas. We have plenty of time. You worry too much.
And Sir Topham Hatt strode off.
Hello, children. Who'd like a game of hide and seek?
Did Sir Topham Hatt say a game of hide and seek?
Yes, he did.
And Thomas's wheels wobbled with worry. Sir Topham Hatt played hide and seek for a long time. He was very happy. So were the children. Edward was puzzled.
Sir Topham Hatt never plays hide and seek.
I know.
And what's that on his face?
A mustache. It just appeared. Today, Sir Topham Hatt doesn't seem like Sir Topham Hatt at all.
Just then, Sir Topham Hatt came back. Thomas wanted to ask him if he was feeling all right, but he didn't want to look silly. Thomas knew that silly engines weren't really useful engines, so he didn't ask any questions.
We must hurry now, sir. We'll be late.
And so will the children.
But Sir Topham Hatt wasn't worried.
Don't hurry the children, Edward. Let them play.
Edward was so surprised his boiler bubbled. Then Sir Topham Hatt jumped aboard Annie and waved to all the children. Thomas's wheels clickety-clacked. He puffed and he huffed along the track. He knew they were late for the party. Thomas stopped at the junction. Suddenly, Sir Topham Hatt jumped out of Annie and climbed up to the signal box.
I won't be a moment, Thomas.
Thomas was amazed. So was the signalman. Sir Topham Hatt never came into his signal box.
Hello there. May I have a turn?
Thomas looked up. He saw Sir Topham Hatt pull a lever. Then Thomas heard Gordon's whistle.
Cinders and ashes. Here comes Gordon.
Gordon had all the important visitors aboard the express. He was taking them to the party. With a clang and a clatter, the points changed. Gordon and the express were no longer on the express track. They were now on a branch line heading away from the party. Thomas heard Sir Topham Hatt whoop for joy.
Hooray!
Fizzling fireboxes. I must ask Sir Topham Hatt why he's being so strange.
But when Sir Topham Hatt came down from the signal box, Thomas didn't say anything. He still didn't want to look silly.
What fun! All aboard, Thomas!
Thomas raced towards Maithwaite. Lady Hat would be waiting. They were very late. Thomas was worried.
First, Sir Topham Hatt had a mustache. Next, he wanted to play hide-and-seek with the children. Then he sent Gordon off the express line and away from the party. Sir Topham Hatt is acting very strangely indeed.
Thomas puffed into Maithwaite. The station master was cross.
Thomas, you're late. Sir Topham and Lady Hat had to go to the party and Bertie the bus. But Bertie hasn't arrived at the party. Neither have the children or the very important visitors.
Thomas was puzzled.
If Sir Topham Hatt is on Bertie, then who's on board Annie?
Just then, Thomas's passengers stepped down. Thomas knew he had to ask a question he hadn't asked before, even if he looked silly.
Excuse me, Sir Topham. You don't quite seem yourself today. Is everything all right?
Thomas's passenger beamed brightly.
Yes, Thomas, but I'm not Sir Topham Hatt. I'm Sir Lowham Hatt, Sir Topham's brother.
Thomas was amazed. That explained everything. But he wished now that he had asked his question earlier. Now there was no time to waste if he wanted to be a really useful engine.
Bertie must have broken down. We must find him right away.
Sir Topham Hatt's brother was very excited.
Hooray! Another game of hide-and-seek!
Now Thomas was stern.
No, Sir Lowham Hatt. I have to work hard and quickly. Otherwise, your brother's party will be spoiled.
So Lowham boarded Annie, and Thomas puffed away. Thomas found Bertie the bus. Smoke billowed from his engine. Bertie looked very unhappy. So did Sir Topham and Lady Hat.
Thomas, where have you been?
Just then, Sir Topham Hatt's brother stepped down from Annie. Sir Topham Hatt sighed.
Oh, no, Lowham. Have you been up to your old tricks again? Absolutely right, Topham. I've been having a wonderful time with Thomas.
Sir Topham Hatt didn't think this was funny at all.
Lowham, you have caused confusion and delay. We must hurry.
Thomas delivered Sir Topham Hatt, his brother, and Lady Hat to the party just in time. The party looked grand. But Thomas couldn't stay. He had work to do. First, Thomas chuffed to the Whispering Woods. Edward was very happy to see Thomas.
Go straight to the party with the children, Edward. Sir Topham Hatt is waiting. It was his brother, Sir Lowham, who was playing hide-and-seek.
Next, Thomas found Gordon. Gordon was huffing and puffing as slowly as a snail down a rickety branch line.
Ugh, the indignity.
Hurry, Gordon, to the next express line. Race like a rocket to the party.
That made Gordon very happy. At last, Thomas chuffed back to the party. Edward and Gordon were already there.
What a wonderful party!
And it was. Everyone was laughing. Then Thomas and his friends heard something very extraordinary. Sir Topham Hatt chuckled even louder than his brother. And that made Thomas happiest of all.
To the steamworks.
James was pleased.
Thank you, sir. I will be the smartest engine on the whole island.
James whistled with pride. James puffed proudly into the steamworks. Workmen were waiting. First, they took off James's old coat of red paint. Then they applied a special pink paint. The pink paint was to go under the new red coat. It was to keep the water out. Soon, James was covered from fender to firebox in bright pink paint. Just then, Sir Topham Hatt arrived.
My granddaughter is having her birthday party today. Emily was to pick her up at Maithwaite Station, but she has broken down. The other engines are busy. You must collect the children and take them to the party.
But, sir, I'm not ready.
You're quite ready enough, James. Leave right away. The party starts at tea time. You mustn't be late.
Sir Topham Hatt left. James was upset.
Oh no, pink is a silly color. I don't want anyone to see me looking silly.
James puffed up to a junction. Emily was there. She was waiting for the workmen.
Cinders and ashes! You're bright pink, James.
Emily laughed and laughed.
Oh no, everyone is going to laugh at me because I'm pink.
James didn't want to be laughed at. Then an idea flew into his funnel.
If I see any other engines on the way to the children, I'll hide.
James chuffed through the countryside. Ahead, he could see Toby puffing along the track.
I don't want Toby to see my pink paint. He'll think I'm silly. I'll hide under this tree until he's gone.
So James chuffed under the branches of a willow tree. Toby puffed slowly towards him. James kept as quiet as he could so that Toby wouldn't hear him. Suddenly, James heard a whistle he knew well. It was Gordon.
Clickety-clack, express on the track!
With a wheesh and a whoosh and a whistling wind, Gordon thundered down the express line. The branches of the tree blew up in the air. There was James in his bright pink paint. Toby stopped. He was surprised.
Fizzling fireboxes, James. You're a big pink engine.
James felt very silly. He didn't like being laughed at. So he steamed swiftly away. James puffed on towards Maithwaite.
I mustn't be late for the children.
Then James saw Diesel.
Oh no, it's Diesel. He's sure to laugh. I have to hide quickly.
James saw some freight cars. They were piled high with coal. James puffed into the siding and hid behind the freight cars.
This is a good hiding place.
Then Diesel oiled into the siding.
Fizzling fenders.
Diesel had to shunt the coal cars. Diesel shunted away the cars that James was hiding behind. So James puffed to the next cars. Then Diesel shunted those away as well. Quickly, James rolled behind the last two freight cars. Then Diesel shunted them away.
Oh no.
Diesel was surprised.
What are you doing, James? You're a big pig steamy.
James felt terrible. Being laughed at by Diesel was worst of all. So James chuffed quickly away. James knew he was getting late. He had to pick up the children before tea time.
I will take a shortcut through this tunnel. That way, I'm sure to chuff to Maithwaite on time.
James puffed out of the tunnel. Then he heard a whistle.
It's Gordon! Oh no! I don't want Gordon to laugh at my silly pink paint. I have to hide.
So James reversed back into the tunnel and waited. Gordon pulled up to the tunnel. He could see steam.
Who's hiding in there? Express coming through. Come on out.
James didn't want to come out. He was sure Gordon would laugh at him. Then Thomas and Percy puffed up.
What's happening? Who's in there?
I don't know, but the Express can't wait.
James knew the engines were waiting for him, and so were the children.
If I keep hiding, I'll be late to pick up the children, and they'll be late for their party.
So, with a puff and a huff, James chuffed slowly out of the tunnel. He was very unhappy.
James, you're all pink. What a funny color.
I'd hide too if I was bright pink.
James felt terrible. All the engines were laughing, but James knew what he had to do.
I feel very silly. but I can't let the children down.
James hurried to Maithwaite as fast as his pistons could pump. James saw Spencer at a junction. Spencer thought James looked very silly.
Oh dear, James. Bright pink really isn't your color.
James didn't like this, but this time, even though he felt silly, he didn't hide.
I mustn't be late for the children.
Then James saw Henry passing by.
My word, you do look pink!
But James didn't hide. He felt silly, but he didn't stop.
Must collect the children. Must collect the children.
James puffed towards Maithwaite. He could see the children waiting.
I'm sure the children will laugh too. They will think I look very silly.
And he steamed sadly on to the station. James pulled into Maithwaite. Sir Topham Hatt's granddaughter didn't laugh. And she didn't think James looked silly at all. She smiled. She was very excited and very happy.
James, you're a pink engine. Pink is my favorite color.
James couldn't believe it.
Do you really like pink?
I love pink, and so do all my friends. Look! Pink is our favorite color!
James was so happy it made his boiler bubble.
I'm a very lucky engine!
James puffed proudly into the town hall, just in time for the party. The children laughed and clapped their hands. James, the bright pink engine, was the hero of the day. Brightly. Thomas was chuffing cheerfully to Brendam Docks. He felt very happy. Thomas had to collect a special, but he didn't know what it was.
Hello, Cranky. Is my special ready?
Yes, it is. The mayor is waiting for it at Knapford. You must puff very carefully.
Thomas was puzzled.
What is it, Cranky?
It's the Lion of Sodor.
Cinders and ashes. How exciting! I promised to take extra special care of it. I've never carried a real live lion before.
When Cranky heard this, he was surprised.
No, Thomas, the Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas was too excited to listen to Cranky. He was already puffing proudly out of the docks. Thomas puffed happily along. Then he met Henry.
Hello, Thomas. You look happy. What's your special?
It's a lion.
Bust my buffers. That's exciting. I only have sticky syrup to deliver.
Suddenly, an idea flew into Thomas's funnel.
I promised to take extra special care of my lion. I think he might really like sticky syrup. Could I have some for him, Henry?
Of course.
Thomas's engineer poured some sticky syrup into the lion's crate.
Thank you, Henry. I have to hurry now. The mayor is waiting for the Lion of Sodor.
Henry was surprised.
Fizzling fireboxes! Thomas has made a mistake! Stop, Thomas! The Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas didn't stop, and he didn't listen. Next, Thomas met Edward.
Hello, Thomas. You look happy. What's your special?
It's a lion.
Flatten my funnel. How exciting. I only have to deliver fresh fish.
I think my lion would really like fresh fish. May I have some for him, Edward?
Of course.
So Thomas's driver put some fresh fish into the lion's crate.
Thank you, Edward. I must hurry now. The mayor is waiting for the Lion of Sodor.
Edward was surprised.
Clattering coaches. Stop, Thomas! The Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas didn't stop, and he didn't listen. Then Thomas saw Toby.
Hello, Thomas. You look happy. What's your special?
It's a lion.
Buff, my boiler, how exciting. I only have straw in my freight cars.
I'm sure my lion would really like some soft straw to lie on. May I have some for him, Toby?
Of course.
So Thomas's driver put some soft straw into the lion's crate.
Thank you, Toby. I really have to hurry. The mayor will be waiting for the Lion of Sodor.
Toby was surprised.
Uh-oh, trembling trucks. Stop, Thomas! The Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas didn't stop, and he didn't listen. Thomas's pistons pumped and his wheels whirred. He couldn't wait to deliver his lion. He chuffed his hardest and raced on towards Knapford Station. At last, Thomas puffed proudly into Knapford. Sir Topham Hatt was there. So were the other engines.
I'm very excited, Thomas.
This is a big day. The Lion of Sodor is here.
Thomas was uncoupled from the flatbed, and he pulled away to join the other engines. The workman carefully opened the lion's crate. Then the engines gasped. The Lion of Sodor wasn't a real lion at all. It was a statue. And now it was covered in sticky syrup, fresh fish, and straw. Sir Topham Hatt was cross.
Thomas, this is a terrible mess.
Gordon and James laughed, and Thomas felt very silly.
I'm sorry. I thought I had a real lion in my crate. I wanted to take extra special care of it. I didn't know the Lion of Sodor was a statue.
So Sir Topham Hatt told Thomas all about the Lion of Sodor, and the other engines listened carefully.
So you see, Thomas, it was the most famous statue on Sodor. Then it broke. This is the shiny new statue we have been waiting for. The mayor is coming at tea time, and now look at it.
I'll make sure it's clean, sir. I promise the Lion of Sodor will be shiny and new again in no time.
Very well, Thomas.
Thomas still felt very silly.
Cheer up, Thomas. I didn't know the Lion of Sodor was a statue either.
It all happened a long, long time ago. Not many engines remember that time. We tried to tell you, but you didn't stop.
I'm sorry, Henry. I should have listened. Now I must hurry. I must get the Lion of Sodor cleaned right away.
Why don't you take it to the washdown?
This time, Thomas listened.
What a good idea! Thank you, Henry.
Thomas was coupled to the flatbed and he chuffed quickly away. Thomas took the Lion of Sodor to the washdown. Soon, the sticky mess was washed off.
That looks much better, Thomas.
But now the statue isn't shiny.
Take it to the steamworks, Thomas. They'll polish it until it sparkles and shines.
This time, Thomas listened.
Thank you, Edward. That's a very good idea. Victor will know just what to do.
And Thomas puffed quickly away. Thomas took the Lion of Sodor to the steamworks. Workmen polished the statue until it shined and sparkled, just as Edward had said.
The Lion of Sodor looks much better now, Thomas.
But it's nearly tea time. The mayor will soon be at Knapford, and it's a long way.
Take the track by the windmill. That'll get you there in time.
This time, Thomas listened.
Thank you, Toby. That's a good idea.
Thomas took the shortcut past the windmill. He huffed and puffed as fast as his pistons could pump towards Knapford. Children cheered and passengers waved as Thomas chuffed by. Everyone wanted to see the Lion of Sodor, and everyone wanted Thomas to stop.
I can't stop now. I mustn't be late. The mayor will be at Knapford, and he won't wait.
And Thomas whooshed on his way. Thomas puffed proudly into Knapford Station. The mayor had just arrived. He was delighted to see the new Lion of Sodor. The statue shined and sparkled in the sun.
Well done, Thomas. This is the finest statue I've ever seen.
And the cleanest!
Everyone cheered. And Thomas smiled from footplate to fender. There was to be a party for the children at the Duke and Duchess's new summer house. All the engines were very excited and very busy. Thomas chuffed cheerfully into the docks. James and Henry were passing through.
Good morning, James. Good morning, Henry. Where are you puffing to?
I'm taking these straw bales to the summer house for the children to climb on.
I'm taking wood to make a stage for the children's show and barrels of lemonade to drink.
How wonderful. I'll see you later at the summer house. Good morning, Cranky.
What's good about it?
It's the Duke and Duchess's party day.
Party smarty. I don't go to parties. I'm stuck here loading and unloading all day. I haven't had a moment to rest my hook.
That load is for me. It's eggs for the children to paint. Hurry up, Cranky. You're creaky, Cranky. What's the matter? Are the eggs too heavy a load for you?
Cranky didn't like Thomas's joke. He didn't like being called creaky.
No, they're not too heavy for me. They're light as fluff. You're not strong enough to pull anything heavier than fluff, Tiny Thomas. That's why Henry and James have the heavy loads.
Now Thomas didn't like Cranky's joke.
Fizzling fireboxes, I'm as strong as any other engine.
You're not as strong as me. I can lift much heavier loads than you could ever pull.
Thomas really didn't like that.
We'll see, Cranky. I have lots of time to deliver the eggs. First, I have to prove Cranky wrong. James has a heavy load. I'll go and find James.
So Thomas steamed sternly out of the docks. Thomas found James at the junction by the washdown.
Hello, James. I don't have a lot of jobs today. Shall I deliver your heavy load of wooden barrels for you? You can stay here at the washdown. Then you'll be perfectly polished for the party.
James thought this was a very good idea.
Thank you, Thomas.
So James was uncoupled from the heavy flatbed of wood, and Thomas was coupled up. The flatbed was heavy. Huffing and puffing, Thomas set off for the docks. Thomas chuffed back into the docks.
You again. What are you doing with that wood?
This flatbed is very heavy. I'm sure you can't lift it.
Cranky looked at the flatbed of wood and barrels.
I'm sure I can.
Cranky's hook swung low over the wood. Thomas watched and waited. With a creak and a crank, and a crank and a creak, Cranky raised the flatbed into the air. Thomas's boiler buzzed.
Told you so.
You're still creaky, Cranky.
And you're still Tiny Thomas.
That made Thomas very cross.
I will prove Cranky wrong, and still have time to deliver the eggs. I'm sure Henry had an even heavier load. I'll go and find Henry.
So Thomas steamed stormily away. Thomas found Henry waiting by the coal hopper for his special coal.
Hello, Henry. I don't have a lot of jobs today. Shall I deliver your heavy load of straw bales for you? Then you can wait here for your special coal.
Henry thought this was a very good idea.
Thank you, Thomas.
So Henry was uncoupled from the heavy flatbed of straw bales, and Thomas was coupled up. The flatbed was very heavy. Huffing and puffing, Thomas set off once more for the docks. Soon, Thomas puffed back into the docks.
You again. Now, what are you doing with those straw bales?
This flatbed is very, very heavy. I'm sure you can't lift this.
Cranky looked at the flatbed of straw bales.
I'm sure I can.
Cranky's hook swung low over the straw. Thomas watched and waited. With a creak and a crank, and a crank and a creak, Cranky raised the flatbed of straw into the air. Thomas's funnel fizzed.
Told you so.
You're still Creaky Cranky.
And you're still Tiny Thomas.
That made Thomas even crosser. More than ever, Thomas wanted to prove Creaky Cranky wrong. He had to find the heaviest thing he could. Then, an idea flew into his funnel.
Lift me, Cranky.
Cranky looked at Thomas. He couldn't let Thomas win. Cranky's hook swung low over Thomas. Thomas hardly dared puff. With a creak and a crank, and a crank and a creak, and very, very slowly, Cranky raised Thomas high into the air.
Bubbling boilers! Creaky Cranky is lifting me!
Then there was trouble. Cranky creaked louder than ever. His crane arm stuttered and juddered. It creaked and it croaked. Then it cracked.
Oh, no.
Cranky's crane arm had broken, and it was all Thomas's fault. Thomas was stuck high in the sky and blowing in the breeze. Then Sir Topham had arrived.
Thomas, what are you doing up there?
I'm sorry, sir. I was...
You are causing confusion and delay. The Duke and Duchess have no wood, straw bales, or eggs. Now I see you have them all here. Cranky is broken, and you, Thomas, think it's a good time to try being a bird. The Duke and Duchess are waiting.
Thomas felt very silly. Then Sir Topham Hatt looked at Cranky.
And you're as silly as Thomas.
Cranky crumpled.
The shame to be as silly as a steamy.
Soon, a workman had climbed up Cranky. Slowly and carefully, Thomas was lowered and landed with a jolt and a judder, just as Spencer arrived.
Dear, oh dear, Thomas, what a mess. Little engines can get into very big trouble.
Thomas felt even sillier in front of Spencer, but he knew now that being strong was only good if you were also really useful. And he had to be really useful.
Spencer, I need your help. You're very strong and can pull much heavier loads than me. Will you take the wood, the straw bales, and the eggs to the summer house for me, please? It's my fault that Cranky is broken. I must put everything right as quickly as I can.
Very well.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Cranky. I know you're strong, stronger than me. I'll be back soon with the right parts to fix you.
Then Thomas pumped his pistons and puffed out of the docks. Thomas wheeshed like the wind all the way to the steamworks.
Hello, Victor. Cranky creaked, and now he's cracked. He needs new parts.
You've come to the right place, my friend. Parts aplenty here. We'll have Cranky up and lifting in no time.
Soon, Thomas's flatbed was loaded with new parts for Cranky.
Thank you, Victor.
Of course, my friend.
Give Cranky my best!
And Thomas puffed happily away. Thomas puffed into the docks with his heavy flatbed. Cranky was still looking crumpled.
Here you are, Cranky. We'll have you fixed in no time.
Thank you, Thomas. That's a heavy flatbed. You know, you're not tiny.
And you're not creaky.
Cranky laughed, and that made Thomas laugh too.